From the Bingu International Convention Center, BICC, where we are tonight. We're here for the public lecture that is going to be delivered by the Vice President of the Republic of Malawi, Dr. Saulos Klaus Chilima. My name is Joab Frank Chakaza, and I'm with my co-host here,
Linda Masinga.
I hope you're doing fine this evening.
I am. How are you?
I'm doing fine as well.
Great.
We don't know much yet about what the Vice President is going to talk about.
Apart from knowing that he is going to talk about mindset change, that's the topic for this public lecture this evening. And once again, let us welcome you to the BICC. The stage is set, everything looks all good in there. All the right people are in the right places, and we're still seeing some more people coming in as we're drawing closer to 6 o'clock as the time that was scheduled that this public lecture is going to start.
So I hope you won't mind the beeping noises, because we are sitting quite close to the main entrance to this auditorium, and that's where they're doing all the scanning. It looks like the security has been ramped up today, because we're expecting two very, very senior citizens in this country.
The Vice President himself, who is hosting, the public lecture. But then the State President, Dr. Lazarus Chakwera, is also coming to be in attendance for this whole public lecture here at the BICC, Bingu International Convention Center. So as Joab has said, there are a lot of people that are coming, and security looks to be quite tight. They're checking everything. Do you have the right papers to get in here? Do you have the card, the invitation card? Do you have the ID from the institution that you're coming from? I was stopped too, as in produce an ID. I'm like, really?
Yeah, exactly. It's a strictly by invitation event, and considering that we're going to have the President and Vice President in one place, I think it only makes sense that they should be that strict with security. Before we talk about who else is here, the State President, quite a strange addition to the guest list, because I think as recently as about 2 days ago, we didn't know that he was going to be here.
There was another program that the State President had lined up. That was a cocktail at the State House, that's Kamuzu Palace here in Lilongwe. So the two events were going to clash because they were happening almost at the same time, same city, and which was going to be same audience almost, because we're talking about the President and his vice. They are all the Tonse Alliance, Tonse leaders. So they're holding two events. They were going to hold, I should say, two separate events in the same city. We were going to see dramas.
Let's not shy away from that debate, because it did open up an interesting debate about how this could be. Could this be signaling something in terms of the relationship? And I saw accusations and counter accusations. Some people saying, no, why are you stirring a storm out of a teacup? This is no big issue. These are two different offices, and they can hold two different events even on one day. And some are saying, no, maybe they're not speaking to each other. They should have consulted each other. So it created quite a storm, I must say. And I don't know if the decision by the President to come and attend the lecture was out of the criticism that people were making on that incident, or it was a pre-arranged movement. We will never know.
We will never know, but we'll be tempted still to think that maybe the debate that was out there triggered the 11th hour cancellation of the cocktail at the Kamuzu Palace. And some other people were already geared to go get drinks, but yes, do come here, the BICC. The State President is going to be here anyway.
So now, getting back to the issue that has brought us here, which is the public lecture by the Vice President of the Republic of Malawi. Malawians are yet to get used to the idea of public lectures, because we haven't been having many of them, I must admit.
And this one is, if I remember, the Vice President is holding this for the second time. The first one was on 27th February 2018. That was at the Chancellor College. It was touching on another interesting topic, which, if I can look at it closely, it might maybe draw us close to what is going to be discussed today. So in 2018, the Vice President was talking about moral decadence towards an effective compliance and ethic program. And tonight, he's touching on mindset change. Joab, how do you see that?
Well, it's interesting. The topic mindset change only points to a possible discussion of what Malawians might need to change on how they view things, but obviously it doesn't let much out of the topic. But I think another thing that we might possibly need to discuss, and we will be having some analysts to help us unpack this, is, do these public lectures matter at all? Do they change anything at all? As you were saying, the last public lecture by the Vice President was on moral decadence towards an effective compliance and ethics program, and that was 2 years ago. The question is, has anything changed?
Everybody who went there, who was in attendance that day at the Chancellor College, what lesson did they learn during that public lecture? This is 2 years later. Another one is coming up. So yes, we need to go back and look into all these things. Are these really meaningful to Malawians? Are we learning something from there? We can come up with different topics, but then what is the outcome of all this?
Tikulandireni kuchokera kuno ku Bingu International Convention Center BICC kunotu tabwera kuti tidzamve zimene akufuna kulankhula mtsogoleri wachiwiri kwa mtsogoleri wa dziko lino amene ndi Dr. Saulos Klaus Chilima. Pa Chingerezi akuti public lecture kwakukulu khongoti mwina kuyankhula ndi mtundu wa Malawi pa mutu umene iwo aona kuti ndi ofunikira kwambiri. Mindset change mchichewa
kusintha kaganizidwe titero mwine
tikhoza kutero mwina kaganizidwe kapena kaonedwe ka zinthu, because I think mindset is quite a packed word. Muchichewa ikhoza tanthauza zinthu zambirimbiri.
Tikutokhala kuti mwina mmene tikuonera zinthu chinthu zimene zochitika zinthu kunjaku tiziona motani, kapena chinthu chikatipeza tichiganize motani, kapena ndi zambiri zimene mwina tingathe kuthandauzira kapena kusungunula liwu loti mindset change pa Chingerezi kulibweresa kuchichewa kumeneku. Komano ndithu ndi zambiri. Komano
eno akewo sakufuna kutambasula kuti kodi nkathumba karambe mmene mwaikamu chani ndi chani, ndi angoti ifeso angotutsa kuti ndi mindset change ndesi tutso kuti akamba chani, kodi mukhala zotani mmenemu. Komabe sizachilendo kuona kuti Vice President akupangitsa mwambo ngati umenewu, chifukwa ndikukumbukira zaka ziwiri zapitazo anapangitsanso msonkhano ngati omwewu ku Zomba.
Panali pa 27 February ndithu chaka cha 2018, zaka ziwiri zadutsapo. Pano ndi 2020, lero ndi 30 October kuno kulilongwe. Mutu umene anagwirapo pa mu 2018 imene mzaka ziwiri zapitazo unali makamaka ofananira nako pang'ono ndi mutu wa lero, fuka umakambabe za umene amati moral decadence kapena
chivundi pa chikhalidwe cha anthu.
Zikomo kwambiri.
Moral decadence, chivundi pa chikhalidwe cha anthu, kuti anthu akuoneka kuti zimene akuchita sakusamala, ngati ni nkhani za ziphuphu akungochita, ngati ni nkhani za chisokonezo akungochita, ndi akuti kungochiumba chonsecho kuti moral decadence. Kuti kodi ngati dziko sitingathe kuti tiyambe kuona zinthu munjira ina, kuti zimene timaziona kuti ndi zabwino, zimene timazichemerera mwina tizione kuti ndi zoyipa mmene zinthu zozilili, ndiye zimene amakamba nthawi imeneyo mu 2018 ku Zomba. Moral decadence towards an effective compliance and ethics program, kuti anthu aphunzire kuchita zinthu mwa ungwiro kapena motsatira malamulo, motsatira dongosolo. Koma funso nkumakhalapo kuti kodi zimaphula kanthu zolankhula zotere
kwambiri, fuka ngati tikunena kuti zaka ziwiri zinachitika zangati izi. Mwina ena achitapa ma public lecture, komano kunena makamaka Vice President Dr. Saulos Chilima akakhala kachiwiri kuchokera ku Tchango 2018 kubwera kuno ku BICC 2020, zaka ziwiri zomwe zadutsazi Amalawi. Mutu umene uja wa chivundi pakati pathu tinaphunzirapo chani, tasintha chani, fuka tikaona ngati ziphuphu tikuziona betu zambirimbiri chowapo, akatika chakuti tichula ndithu list ndi yaitali, zinthu zikuchitikabe zambirimbiri. Mwina nkumati mwina nkona abweraso lero ndi mutu ofananira nako nkufuna
sukusiyana kwambiri, ukhangati kuti mwina akuzokhala kuti akufuna abwereze kapena aonjezerepo pa zimene anayankhula zaka ziwiri zapitazo.
Simunamve ndelero akuzeniso kuti chivundi chimene chicha, koma tingosinthano mutu pano tikamba wina wa mindset change. Komano zomwe tikunena tikoti tikuphunzirapo zotani ngati Malawi, mwina zitipinduliranso ma public lecture ngatotera kubwera kumva kuti uda unena chani, mitu yake ndi yotani, tatolapo chani, tikatola zinthu zija tikachitedi, mwina dziko lino nkufika pena.
Kukubwera president pamalo ano amene mmene zimaonekera masiku angapo apitawo sizimadziko tabwera kena kupeza kuti dzidzidzi akuti a president akupita nawo
anakonza ruphwando olu ku State House kumene
imene ndikumva kuti ndi program imene imachitika ndithu pafupi kumeneko
akuti mwezi uliwonse kumapeto wa mwezi uliwonse zikumachitika komano tsiku limene phwando limene kapena chikondwerero chimenechi nditero mwina anthu abwerekera mawu amenewo zimayenewo chitika ndi lero lomwe limene kunonso ku BICC wachiwiri wawo Chilima nawo anakonza kuti adzayankhule Malawi ndiye panalitu zoyankhula kunja kuti kodi anthu amenewa awiri mtsogoleri ndi wachiwiri wake akukonza zinthu ndithu mapulogalamu mulilonge momu malo awiri osiyana kapena mwina tibweranso mbuyo nkumaona kuti maubale a president ndi wachiwiri wake sakhala bwino imene ikhale saini kunalitu zokamba Joab
anthu anayankhula zambiri ndipo sikuti tingakambirane izi pano osaunika pa mfundo imeneyi nthawi ina iliyonse zikuona kuti mwambo ukhozokhala kuti uziyamba mkatimu ndaona anthu osiyanasiyana amene abwera pano tili ndi a wonderful mkhucha amene tikati kucheza nawo posachedwa apa koma mwina kungoonako anthu amene abwerako ndaona Attorney General kufika kumene
kwambiri komanso ndaona Mayi Kalista Mutharika amene ali mkazi wa mtsogoleri wakale Malemu Bingu Mutharika nawo ndaona afika malo pano ndaonapo ndithu akatswiri odziwika bwino ku nkhani za malamulo ku maloya ndithu ndaonapo ena alowa malo pano anthu ochita business osiyanasiyana amene timati ma business tycoons experts Malawi muno
ndaonanso anthu oyera khunguso angapo adutsa
ndaona ndithu oyera khunguso ali mmagawo angapo
kutheka kuti palinso anthu akazembe amayiko osiyanasiyana amene ayitanidwa komanso anthu ena amene akuchita ma business osiyanasiyana akuonekanso kuno ndiye tili ndi anthu amene apangitsa kuti makampani apangitsa kuti zitheke kuti zimezi zikufikeni pano pa Zodiac tili pa Zodiac Online tili pa Zodiac Television tili pa Zodiac Radio pali Smile Life Insurance komanso Satemwa Tea ndiye mwina tingomva kuchokera kwa amenewa kena kuti kamabwera timve kuchokera kwa mmodzi mwa akatswiri amene amadziwa kuunika zinthu zimene zikuchitika mdziko amene ndi a wonderful mkhuche takhani pomwepo
wachikondi wathu pamene watisiya timaonetsetsa kuti akalowe m'manda molemekezeka koma tumaliro amafuna zambiri tsoka ilo sakunzekereka pamenepa ndi pamene umafuna kugwira mkono a Smile Life Insurance amamvetsetsa kuti pazovuta chonchi umatha kugwira njakata ichi nchifukwa chake mogwirizana ndi Prama Funeral Services amabweretsa zofunikira pamaliro za mtengo oyambira 300,000 kwacha mpaka 2.5 million kwacha monga galimoto yonyamula thupi yapamwamba transport ya anamalira matent mipando zakudya zapamaliro okumba manda komanso onyamula zovuta ngakhale chimkuza mawu ndipo zonsezi zimatengera polisi yomwe munasankha tafunsani zambiri ku Smile Life lero poimba ku 0995 915 261 ndipo ndikutsimikizirani kuti tsiku likadzafika chisoni chanu chidzakulirika ndi chimwemwe kuchokera ku Smile Life.
Mwanawanga, what tea is this?
Agogo. This delicious flavor is Satemwa Export Green Tea. Satemwa Green Tea is not just tasty, but it's healthy too, as it's full of powerful antioxidants. This green tea is grown on the beautiful slopes of Chilima Mountain and is sold nationwide.
tili kuno ku BICC kumene kuli mwambo umene akuchititsa ndi mtsogoleri titi wachiwiri kwa mtsogoleri wa dziko lino Dr. Saulos Klaus Chilima imene pa Chingereza kuitcha public lecture kuyankhula ndi mtundu wa Malawi pa mutu wa mindset change. Ndikaona nthawi apa ndi 10 minutes to 6 usonzo kuti nthawi ina iliyonse mwambo ukhozokhala kuyamba mkatimu chifukwa palingana ndi program anapereka anati mwambo uyamba 6 o'clock. Tikuona anthu akuthamanga tinamva masailini akulira kusonyeza kuti anthu akuluakulu afika pamalo pano ndipo mwina program ine iyamba ndithu pa nthawi yake ine imene ayika. Koma tisanafike kumeneko nangofuna kuti mwina atithandizane ndi a wonderful mkhuche tithe kuwunikirana kuti kodi nkhani ineni imene ingatuluke mkatimo ndi yotani. Tinesera kufufuza apa, kuvundukula apa, kukankha ichi, koma chimene angotuluza ndi chakuti AI nkhani ndi public lecture, mutu wake akuti mindset change.
Chomwe tiyembekeze mkatimo ndi chakuti Vice President akufuna kuliuza dziko la Malawi kuti tisinthe kaganizidwe, tisamaganize mwachikale kuganiza kumene kwatipangisa kuti dziko la Malawi likhale pamene lili panopa. Ndoti tikuyena tiyambe kuganiza mwatsopano, mwachitsogolo, kuti zinthu ziyambenso kuyenda. Izi ndi zimene titaziyembekezere kuzimva mkatimo.
Funso nkumati kodi zinthu ngati zimenezi kungobwera Vice President nkuyankhula zingaphule kanthu pakati pa Malawi, mwina Malawi timafuna chinthu chooneka ndi maso, chogwirika, something tangible, koma kungoti analankhula, anthu angoti analankhula zimene zija basi alankhula zachitika.
Zitha kuphula kanthu ndithu, chifukwa chonena kuti usanayambe wachichita chinthu umayamba wachilankhula kaye. Nde apaso tizindikire kuti boma limene lilipo angolowa kumene kubweresa phunziro limene ndikuthandizira Malawi kutiuza kuti kodi tingasinthe bwanji maganizo oti dziko lipite kutsogolo. Then kupoti pa kulankhula kwa leroli kukhala ngati kuwauza mtundu wa Malawi komanso kuwauza iwo mwini ngati mtsogoleri wa dziko lino kuti kodi kupita chitsogolo tingamaganize motani. Ndiye tiyembekezere ndithu kuti kuphula kanthu kulipo.
Funso limene limandisowetsa mtendere ndilakuti kodi kusintha kwa anthu kumayamba ndi chani chimene chingapangitse Amalawi kuti asinthe kaganizidwe kawo kapena kaonedwe kawo ka zinthu. Kodi anthu angangoyamba okha nkungotsintha kuti Amalawi tiyeni tisinthe kenako iyayi basi tasintha, izi sitizipanganso chonchi, kapena boma likuyenera kutengapo gawo kuti lichite china chake kuti zisinthe. And I know kuti maybe it's unfair if anthu amati zili zonse mangoti boma. Komano let's discuss this. Cheni chimene chingayambitse kusintha kaganizidwe ka anthu ndi chiyani?
Chomwe chingayambire kwambiri ndi momwe ife aini yake Amalawi timalionera dziko lathu. Choyambira ndi kuzindikira kuti anthu tili pa umphawi, ndipo tikazindikira mene kuzindikiranso kuti tikuyenera tizitukule ngati anthu komanso dziko lathu. Kumeneko ndiye kumakhala kusintha koyamba. Komanso chinanso kumafunikanso nzeru kuti uzidziwa, chifukwa kwa ena amati momwe tilili panopa amaona ngati kuti moyo ndi omwewo sitikuyeneranso kupita kwina. Koma kukakhala kuti munthu ali ndi nzeru kapena ndi chionetsero madziwa kuti anzathu kumayiko kwina dziko lawo kuliyendetsa motere, ndipo akapanga kama programs otere zikumathandiza anthu motere. Ndiye kuzindikira kumeneko kumathandiziranso kuti kuzitipasa kaganizidwe katsopano kuti zomwe tikuchita panopa sitikuchita bwino, bwanji titapanga choncho kuti dziko lipite kutsogolo. Komanso kupatulapo zikutengeranso utsogoleri nawonso akuyenera kuikapo gawo, chifukwa ngati iwo ngati atsogoleri akuyenera kutionetsera kuti dzikoli tikufuna litalowera kumbali iyi. Nde akaonesa zimenezozo anthu amangopitanso mbali yomweyo. Koma zikayamba ndi atsogoleri mwina kupanga zinthu zolakwika kapena zinthu ngati zachinyengo, ena onsenso amangotsatira mbuyo.
Ngati dziko kuti tingati tili ndi chikhulupiriro chimene tili nacho chimene choti mwina aliyense akamabadwa m'Malawi nkumakula amanena kuti ine kodi yanga ndi njira yanga ndi, ndipo ngati m'Malawi ndikuyenera panga izi. Anthu amanena kuti Malawi the home heart of Africa. Yeah, that's a good thing. Komano kuti m'Malawi akukula, chimene m'Malawi angadziwike nacho, chimene choti tikhoza kuphonya china chilichonse, koma na apa m'Malawi akuyenera kudziwika ndichi. Tinacho chimenechi?
Panopa tilibe choti choonetsera kuti Malawi timadziwa ndi izi, palibe zimenezozo. Komano ichino ndi chobetchera chimene chili ndi boma latsopano, chifukwa polowa mabwera ndi maganizo aja amachiloti tonse philosophy. Ndiye zili kwa iwo kuti atambasule bwino kuti kodi philosophy imeneyi muli zichani. Kenako akakhala kuti Amalawi ayitolera bwinobwino ayimva, ndokuti inalesi aziyendanso mbali imeneyo.
Ena mwina nkumati za anthu andalama izi, it's a bit elitist. Mwabwera kuno ku hotelo twani mwavala masuti, ndekuti pala anthu ena aka amene ali kumudzi akunena kuti akumana akakambirana kumeneko, ifeyo ayitendi baja gagayo kuno.
Zitha kuoneka choncho, koma apapa chomwe tingaone chokuti zomwe zitakamidwe mkatimo zili pa radio, zili pa TV, zili pena paliponse. Ndiye kuti ndi uthenga umene ukachoka pano ukupita dziko lonse la Malawi. Ndiye zisaoneke ngati kuti zingokambidwa konkono kenako ndikuthera kuno, koma tikamachoka munomo wina alesakhala kuti watolapo kenakake kuti dziko la Malawi ngati momwe anenera vice president tikulakwitsa pakuti tikuyenda tikonze pakuti. Ndiye anthu achangu athakuziona ngati choncho kuti akangokambirana kumene kuzatha konko, koma uwu ndi ngati uthenga umene ukanenedwa panopa ufika dziko lina lonse, mbali ina lonse ya dziko la Malawi.
Mwambo sunayambe koma zikuoneka kuti nthawi ina iliyonse mwambo ukhala ukuyamba kuno ku BICC. Anthu ndithu akhala akulowa mkatimu, nthawi ina iliyonse tikhala tikukuwuzani kuti ndi ndani amene wafika pano. Monga timanenera kuti zonsezi kuti zikufikeni pano pa Zodiac chifukwa cha Smile Life Insurance komanso Satemwa Tea. Ndiye tikufuna kuti tingoonako uthenga kuchokera kumeneko, kenako tikhala tikupitiriza kucheza ndi Wonderful Nkhuche. Musatalikire, takhani pomwepo.
Wachikondi wathu pamene watisiya timaonetsetsa kuti akalowe m'manda molemekezeka, koma tumaliro amafuna zambiri, tsoka ilo sakunzekereka. Pamenepa ndi pamene umafuna kugwira mkono. A Smile Life Insurance amamvetsetsa kuti pa zovuta chonchi umatha kugwira njakata. Ichi nchifukwa chake mogwirizana ndi Prama Funeral Services amabweretsa zofunikira pamaliro za mtengo oyambira 300,000 kwacha mpaka 2.5 million kwacha, monga galimoto yonyamula thupi yapamwamba, transport ya anamalira, matent, mipando, zakudya zapamaliro, okumba manda, komanso onyamula zovuta ngakhale chimkuza mawu. Ndipo zonsezi zimatengera polisi yomwe munasankha. Tafunsani zambiri ku Smile Life lero poimba ku 0995 915 261 ndipo ndikutsimikizirani kuti tsiku likadzafika chisoni chanu chidzakulirika ndi chimwemwe kuchokera ku Smile Life.
Mwana wanga, what tea is this?
Agogo. This delicious flavor is Satemwa Export Green Tea. Satemwa Green Tea is not just tasty, but it's healthy too, as it's full of powerful antioxidants. This green tea is grown on the beautiful slopes of Chilima Mountain and is sold nationwide.
Welcome back to the Bingu International Convention Center, BICC in Nilongwe. Tonight, the State Vice President, Dr. Saulos Klaus Chilima, is holding a public lecture. The topic is mindset change. And here with me is Mr. Wonderful Nkhuche to help us get into it, maybe talk a little bit more, because we can just look at the topic, mindset change, but what is it about? Do you have any expectations maybe for this evening?
Yes, when we are looking at mindset change, we are talking about not engaging in behaviors that are retrogressive in nature. So we are looking at our country. There are certain behaviors or practices or even beliefs that are taking us back. So the thing about mindset change, it's all about trying to tell Malawians how we can change how we look at things in order for us to move forward. So this is what
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Malawi, Dr. Lazarus Macarthur Chakwera, Your Honor, Dr. Saulos Klaus Chilima, Vice President of the Republic of Malawi, and Madame Mary Chilima, Right Honorable Catherine Gotani Hara, MP, Speaker of the Malawi Parliament, present here, Your Ladyship Justice Ivecha Takamanga, Justice of Appeal, all Cabinet and Deputy Ministers here present, political leaders in the Tonse Alliance and all members of the Alliance here present, Your Excellency George Gunn, High Commissioner of the Republic of Malawi and Dean of the Diplomatic Corps, Your Excellencies, Heads of Mission, and all members of the Diplomatic Corps here present, Mr. Zanga Zanga Chikosi, Secretary to the President and Cabinet, and all senior government officials here present, Your Worship Juliana Kaduya, Mayor of the City of Lilongwe, and all the councillors here present, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, and all invited guests who are here tonight, good evening, and welcome to this public lecture. However, before we begin everything, I would like to invite Dr. Henry Chingaipe to open with a word of prayer. Dr. Chingaipe.
Shall we pray? God, our Heavenly Father, you are our omnipotent and omnipresent planner. You make no mistake. We bask in the glorious abundance of your grace despite our inadequacies. We come to you this evening in reverence and total submission to your will. We are galvanized in our collective will to beseech thee at the onset of a candid national discourse on mindset change, because you have told us in your own words that where there is no vision, the people perish. We do not want to perish. After several decades in search of inclusive economic prosperity, transformative governance, and social justice, it has dawned upon us that the yoke of poverty and the curse of mediocrity that have typified our society and suppressed our collective potential for a breakthrough are rooted in our collective mindset and national psyche, as reflected in our political culture, our attitudes towards leadership, our attitudes towards our own duties. We thank you, our God, for this insight and for the courage bestowed on our Vice President, your servant Saulos Klaus Chilima, to kick off a national conversation on what we need to change about our collective mindset and how to do so. Bless our President, your servant, Lazarus Chakwera, the Vice President, and all political leaders charged with the task of managing our public affairs, to lead us by example by demonstrating that we can change our mindset from the politics of exclusion to the politics of inclusion, from self-serving elitism to servant and altruistic leadership, from using the instruments and power of the state for the unholy self-enrichment to using them for the greatest good, for the greatest numbers in our society. I now ask you, God, to bless the Vice President, that his words tonight on mindset change shall proclaim your greatness and your plans for our country. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, one God, I pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much for that prayer. If you can allow me, I would like to take off the mask so you can hear me very clearly. As your convener tonight, it is an honor for me to once again welcome you all here at the Bingu International Convention Center for the Mindset Change public lecture to be delivered by the Right Honorable Vice President Dr. Saulos, Klaus, Chilima. I am Dr. Asiat Lorraine Chiweza, an Associate Professor of Public Administration in the Department of Political and Administrative Studies at Chancellor College. I want to thank you all here for coming to participate in this very important dialogue at this crucial time in the history of our nation. It is my expectation that you'll be a great audience. I also extend my appreciation to you that are following this event virtually via Zoom, Twitter, and Facebook. We are also live on many television and radio stations in the country. We are live on all Zodiac broadcasting station platforms, television, radio, and Facebook Live. We are also live on Mibawa Television, Timveni Media, Rainbow Television, Lunta Television, Midge Radio, and the Malawi Broadcasting Corporation. On behalf of the organizing committee, I would like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to these media houses for offering to cover live this important event for free. A round of applause for them, please. At this point in time, may I invite Tawaniso Malewezi to give us his poem. Tawaniso.
Your Excellency, the President, the Right Honorable Vice President, all protocols observed. Before I perform my poem, I just want to say thank you for this opportunity to come and share some art with you. The poem that I'll perform, I think it's befitting for the topic this evening, and it's titled People, and it's an exploration of the human condition. People see people. People meet people. People greet people. People like people. People know people. People trust people. People love people. People make people happy. People give people. People hope people give people. People beg people, people ignore people, people forget people. People tell people about people. People believe people. People betray people. People hurt people. Hurt people hurt people. People forgive people. People change people. People surprise people always. People choose people, people use people, people lose people. People like people, people like. People want people, people have. People have people, people want. People have people, people have. People give people what people have. People infect people. People blame people, people judge people. People divide people, people fight people, people slay people, people maim people, people burn people, people bomb people, people stone people, people rape people. People keep people from people. People sell people to people. People buy people for people. People kill people. People help people kill people. People watch people kill people. People scrape people from people like people are not people. People protect people. People save people. People guide people. People serve people. People hope, people think, people know, people are people. People inspire people to be better at being people. One day, people will show people how to be people. Just by being people, by just being people, by being just people. Teaching lessons that unite people into a people. On that day, people will truly see people and say, we are more than just people. We are a just people. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that interesting poem. Another round of applause for him, please. As we proceed with our program, allow me to run through the program. Shortly, I'll be inviting His Honor, the Vice President, to deliver the public lecture. But let me contextualize this public lecture. The gist of a public lecture is that it is an event where an individual who has studied a particular topic in greater detail would like to share his ideas about that particular topic. But it also provides an opportunity for informing and educating the public, but also engagement with the wider public through an open discussion. And this is what we are going to do tonight. The phrase mindset change has been raised by various leaders in this country, but has not been a subject of much open discussion. So this is what is happening tonight. Initializing conversation and discussion about mindset change. And I believe there are many questions out there. What is mindset change? How can we achieve mindset change? What are the benefits? This change that we are talking about, from where to what? So after the presentation, the Vice President will take a few questions from the audience right here at the BICC and also from social media platforms. So let me explain that as we do this, we will invite you to raise your hand if you have a question, and then we will recognize you. You are free to ask the questions or even comment in English or Chichewa. We'll also take some questions randomly from social media platforms such as Zoom, Facebook, and Twitter. But bear this in mind. When sending us the questions, please tell us your name, where you're watching or listening from, but also the question. Once the question time is over and the Vice President leaves the stage, we will have remarks from His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Malawi, Dr. Lazarus Makasse Chakwera, who is with us this evening. On this note, therefore, it is my pleasure to invite Dr. Saulos Klaus Chilima, Vice President of the Republic of Malawi, to come forward and deliver the lecture. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the podium His Honor, the Vice President of the Republic of Malawi, Dr. Saulos Klaus Chilima.
Your Excellency, Dr. Lazarus McCarthy Chakwera, the President of the Republic of Malawi, Madam Mary Chilima, Right Honorable Kathleen Gotani-Hara, the Speaker of the National Assembly, Your Ladyship, Justice Ivy Kamanga, sitting in for the Chief Justice, all cabinet ministers and deputy ministers present here this evening, Your Excellencies, members of the diplomatic corps, I recognize the presence of the Secretary to the President of the Cabinet and all senior government officials that are present with us tonight, all political leaders, all traditional leaders, all religious leaders, all leaders from the private sector, distinguished invited guests here present, fellow citizens following on different media platforms, members of the Fourth Estate, ladies and gentlemen. I stand before you this evening, Your Excellency, and all protocols as observed, to share just my perspective on mindset change. It is a topic that is dear to your heart, Your Excellency. We have discussed this on a number of occasions. It is one of the enablers in the National Development or in the National Planning Commission's National Transformation Agenda 2063. And I think it is a topic that we as a people must directly and fearlessly engage in. Let me start by acknowledging your presence, Your Excellency. I would like to sincerely thank you for accepting the invitation to be here. It's a rare opportunity that you could spare your time to join us this evening. And for that, I would like everybody present here to give His Excellency a round of applause. Yes, indeed, Excellency, you believe in the cause, you believe in the topic, but to spare time to be here is beyond just belief. It is conviction. Tonight, and very briefly, I will share with you, like I said, my perspective on mindset change. And this is not exhaustive, not being apologetic, but it is a fact. We will start the discussion or the debate or continue the debate, as others have said. And I think we must continue with this debate in earnest. I have a summary in PowerPoint format, and I also have a paper which is written and will also be made available once we have cleared the small things, the grammar and the typos. To start us this evening, Your Excellency, this country always professes to be God-fearing. And therefore, in case some of us today forgot to worship, when I am down and oh, my soul so weary, when troubles come and my heart's burdened be, then I am still and wait here in a silence until you come and sit a while with me. the topic for tonight is the imperative for mindset change for national development in Malawi. And therefore, key messages in there: the imperative for mindset change, and it being a key in national development as we continue with our development agenda. In my lecture tonight, I will take you through some definitions. I will share some examples. We will define mindset change and give examples. We will tonight share some intrinsic issues in this country that need to change if we are going to move this country forward. And when we get to that stage, and especially when we come for the Q&A, let's engage in earnest from our hearts how we think we can move this country forward. And as I wind down, I will share with you some quotes that I find inspirational before I ask all of us to engage in action. A call to action. And therefore, to start, to basically say, what is mindset? To put it simplistically, before we get into the literature around mindset, one could say mindset is the way we see ourselves. Mindset is how we do things. And others have defined mindset as the established set of attributes held by someone. That someone is me, that someone is you, that someone could be somebody else that we know. And yet others have also defined mindset as a person's way of thinking and their opinions. You hold very strong opinions. If it were in politics, you're on the extreme right, or you're on the extreme left, or you're in the center. You form an opinion. It is the way you think. It is your conviction. It is your mindset. Going further is to then say, what are the examples of mindset? First, a fixed mindset. A fixed mindset is a trait in people who believe their basic qualities, like intelligence or talent, and that these are simply fixed. They'll spend their time documenting their intelligence or talent instead of developing. Go back to the topic. It's a mindset change as an imperative for development. With a fixed mindset, we don't develop. We also believe that talent alone creates success without any effort. Unfortunately, Excellency, fellow citizens, these people are wrong. Even in the Holy Bible, they say, if you don't work, you must not eat. So therefore, having talent alone and not developing it and putting effort may not bring about the desired result, the desired development that we for so long want. Oxford Dictionary defines mindset as established set of attributes held by someone. The Free Dictionary defines mindset as a fixed mental attitude or disposition that predetermines a person's responses to, as well as their interpretation of a situation. Now, if you possess, or if you're one person with a fixed mindset, this is as much as you believe in. On the contrary, the other trait is that of a growth mindset. This is when students come to understand that their learning can rewire the brain and increase their intelligence. They often become more interested in learning and less afraid to do things that might take them, or that might actually make them look dumb. Challenge the status quo. Want to explore. In other words, they are developing a growth mindset. A growth mindset, Excellency, is about growth, not actually just about effort. In a moment, we will go into how we can actually develop a growth mindset. But how is it important? Having a growth mindset, the belief that you're in control of your own ability and can learn and improve, is the key to success. Yes, hard work, effort, persistence are all important, but not as important as having the underlying belief that you're in control of your own destiny. It is the belief, it is the conviction that we possess more, we can do more, we can conquer, we can achieve. This is the attitude. This is the mindset that we want to possess. It is a progressive mindset, the attitude of winners, the attitude of successful nations. And the question therefore becomes, how do we develop a positive mindset? And there are scholars, and one of them, a renowned scholar, is Dr. Carol Dweck, who identified 25 ways on how to develop a growth mindset. Excellency, for purposes of this lecture tonight, I will be very brief. Like I said, there is a detailed paper written to support this PowerPoint presentation. But I will, for purposes of proceeding with the lecture tonight, share in bullet point form what these are. Number one, to acknowledge and embrace imperfections. We must accept that human beings' life is surely not perfect. The moment we do that, apart from developing that growth mindset, you also have peace of mind, because you have got no reason to think beyond what is necessary. Second, to view our challenges as opportunities. Very good example. We can't get investors into Malawi because there is no energy. Sir, madam, that's an opportunity for you to come and invest. It is a business opportunity. It is not a problem. Third, try different learning tactics. Life is a continuous learning process, and we have to keep on. We can't say we have learned enough. Number four, follow the research on brain plasticity. Number five, replace the word failing with the word learning. 6, stop seeking approval. Now, hold on a minute, because obviously, if you hold certain positions, you have to seek approval. So, what am I saying? You have to go and say, Excellency, we think that this is the right way to go, and this is my reasoning. And the President will agree with you. The Honorable Minister will agree with you. The President of your party will agree with you. The Chief Executive in your organization is going to agree with you. The Director General in your organization will agree with you. You have not actually gone to seek any approval. You have gone there to make your case. 7 is to value the process over the end result. Set systems that today we are here, we are not here, things will work. Cultivate a sense of purpose. Why do we live? Why do we go to work? Why do I go to school? A purpose for everything that we are doing. Celebrate growth with others. Zimenezo zisatikuze, no, celebrate with them. They have achieved something. Emphasize growth over speed. Yes. Mukuchedwa kutero inde, but let's follow due process. Yotuvula imadutsa chisa amatero pachichewa. Process over end result, or growth over speed. Reward actions, not traits. I'm here to deliver a lecture. It is not a KPI that I agreed with His Excellency. So you can say, oh, he did a very good lecture. Oh, for goodness sake, this has got nothing to do with the Ministry of Economic Planning. Redefine the word genius. There are so many geniuses here, deserved, others undeserved. Let's portray criticism as a positive. As a matter of fact, saying criticism is not rich enough. Perhaps feedback is the right word. Others will say, in life, if you don't get feedback, it is like flying an aircraft without a radar. You must continuously get feedback. The concept of a mirror versus a camera. A mirror is where you stand in front and you look at yourself, wow, I'm very well dressed, I'm very well shaven. But the cameras are the people that will give you the feedback. Sir, there is something behind your back. You didn't see that with your mirror. It is those cameras. And therefore, when they give that feedback, don't say, mukusirira, mulibe anu. No, appreciate that mwanditandiza kuti ndioneke bwino, was smart, pagulu pano. Disassociate improvement from failure. We should provide regular opportunities for reflection. We should place effort before talent. We should highlight the relationship between learning and brain training. There are people in this country that are qualified but not educated. Cultivate grit. And this evening, I would like to believe Excellency and all distinguished ladies and gentlemen in this room, one of my old-time friends, Mr. Daniel Dunga, donated 500 copies of his book. It's called The Grit. And it's basically the underlying, the spirit of it is about never giving up. Abandon image, use the word yet. Marepera, not yet. Osati talepera, no, yet. Learn from other people's mistakes. Big issue, we can discuss this much later. Make a new goal for every goal that is accomplished. Life belongs to the people that are discontented. Take risks in the company of others. Easy sizingateke. Try something new. walk the uncharted waters, try new territories, try new boundaries. Think realistically about time and effort. And finally, take ownership over your attitude. Don't continuously pass the buck. See negomandiao. Take ownership. And therefore, what is mindset change? It is the departure from one's common or usual thinking style, the change in your beliefs or something in your mind. You surely can change your mind. And in this paper, Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, we discuss whether mindset can actually be created, whether mindset can actually be changed, how it can actually be sustained. So for instance, how is mindset created? And Professor Dweck has noted that many people are trained in either fixed or growth mindset since childhood, either through the way they are raised or through learning experiences. We become who we associate with. These students end up being actually more concerned with how they are being judged and actually paranoid, especially that they may not live up to their expectations. And we go on to discuss how it can actually be changed. We need to believe that we can change the status quo through persistent and adaptive effort. We can transform our country from poverty to prosperity. There is a typo there. It's the other way around. It's not from prosperity to poverty, it's poverty to prosperity. So we'll correct that. But we will only do that if we believe it can be done. Because others have done it, we will do it. How is mindset sustained? And you have MGDS 3. Under the call of it is building a productive, competitive, and a resilient nation. In that case, we are very lucky. At least we have a very clear vision. But the question remains, how do we realize and sustain this vision? An example of a mindset is that of the people of Israel. In the book of Genesis, chapter 12, verse 2, he said to them, I will make you into a great nation. I will bless you and make you famous, and you'll be a blessing to others. But it is the belief that is much more important. And that's what has driven that nation. The people here, the people of this country, have also been spoken to that God will make us a great nation. And we must believe. And we must sustain that belief. So that is what must be our mindset. What are the friends of a positive mindset? And as I said it before, you become what you associate with. If you want to become a good footballer, you will not spend time with people that play bao. Nothing wrong with bao. Or nothing wrong with golf, as an example. But you can't become a good footballer by playing basketball. It's not going to happen. So as we go, the gist there is, let's associate with people that have got that positive mindset. Successful people. Even back in school days. If you want to be good at math, you spend time with people that were good at math. not people that were good in English or French. So the point here is, let's associate, let's create models, role models as we grow. Who like or dislike change? And why will they dislike the change? Obviously, first is insecurity. But guess what? The only constant in life is the change that we fear. Let's automate this system. The first question is, how many people are going to be fired? For goodness sake, let's ask the question, when we automate people, how many people are we going to train to run these machines? You're creating jobs. You're not firing people. Fear, resentment. We need to associate with those people that have got a progressive mindset. Is it all just about mindset? Or is it about consolidation? Or is it actually about both? It is correct to say your mindset is the most important single ingredient in the formula to success. We can be prophetic all we want, but it is the attitude to say, here is the prophecy, then we are going to make sure that the prophecy happens. We should train our minds to see good in everything positive. And therefore, like I say, literature, that review is there for all to see. Many people here are scholars. They can go and do their own literature reviews. I would like to now bring us back home, closer to where we are. What things should we be changing? At this point, I'll be talking about what I think are the common issues in our country that if we don't pay attention to, perhaps one day, and I have said this many times, one day we should agree to delete the word development from our discussions. Because unless we change the way we think, unless we change our attitude towards success, we perhaps will not be achieving very much. However, the reason is not to be here standing and be a prophet of doom. It is actually to challenge all of us to rise up and think different than we have done hitherto. The change we talk about, the transformation we talk about, the reforms we talk about, the development we want will not fall from heaven. It is going to be done by the people that are here, the people that are listening, the people that are watching, the people that Q Malewezi was talking about. And those people are the people of Malawi. We need to move away from this mindset where everything that we see, what we think is good, is foreign. A healthy dog is galwa chizungu. As if you can't have a healthy Malawian dog. A tasty chicken is ngugu ya chizungu. Drinking juice, amakhala moyo wa chizungu. We need to free ourselves from that bondage. We can do good things and others can copy. And we should move away from this attitude of undermining ourselves, undermining what we're capable of doing as a people, as a nation. So, just a few. Some of them will be controversial, but guess what? This is a discussion. Number one, obsession with trivia. So different WhatsApp groups. When you post a cartoon, immediately maybe 50 comments will follow. Moto udibu. try and post something to say, who has an idea how we can transform this country? Dead silence. We don't want to engage in serious, life-changing discussions. For goodness sake, we are not a cartoon nation. You see, even comedians are paid for it. Don't be a comedian for free. Others get money for it. So if you want to be a comedian, do it properly and get money for it. So this attitude, our obsession with trivia, envy, and it is there in the national anthem. Hunger, disease, envy. But this kind of envy is not the one in the national anthem. It is a result of, in some cases, sheer pettiness. And Excellency, you excuse this next word I'm going to use, which is sheer foolishness. So and so has lost their job. Eheza kalabu no difanane. So and so has lost their mother. Iinde difanane makolo watu na feso na mwalira karikari. No, but this is what we do. We need to move on. We need to unlearn what we have done in the past. We really must move on. Opportunistic tendencies. No apologies for the words used. People are paraded on TV to defend, and I'm talking about the TV in this country, to defend silly things. And they actually get paid for it. So they will do it with this regime. After that regime, they will do it with the next regime, and they will try and do it with the other regime. The goodness is, you probably have a wrong dial now. Not with the president that I know. We need to deal with this attitude. And they hide under the banner. Timagwira Nchirondi Boma. Who told you that Boma changes? Malay government is Malay government. Boma doesn't change. What changes is the ruling party and the leadership. And then there is this whole business around man-made crisis, the creation of panic. Your Excellency, mukangopanda makaja kuti lerolo pofika mawa ndi kuti basi. Inuyo anthu anena kuti ndi kuti president aya basi. But this is what we do. And I'm using the president as an example. It applies to me. It applies to, we are all leaders in here. There are traditional leaders here. There are faith leaders here. There are business captains here. Panic. They wait for you. You've been sitting in the office from 7:30 through to 12 o'clock. They'll come to your office at 5 minutes to 12 and say, Bwana musaine ichi agent because afuna abepo. The argumentum ad hominem fallacy. The obsession with individuals and not what they say or preach. Koma ndiye nkhani, koma ina vice president ndiye amandibowa kuti inde ineso mandibowa. Can we learn to isolate the person from what they're saying? you could be losing an opportunity to move your own life, to change your own life, to move this country forward. Everybody says, we know what we must do as Malawi, we just don't do it. And which Malawians are going to do it? It's us. Sabwera winners. Mediocre and absent leadership when we are given the responsibility to lead, we should be there for the people that put us in those positions to serve. It doesn't matter at which position. Unfortunately, in this country, all of a sudden, the president, the vice president, ministers, MPs, councillors, chiefs must pay school fees, must provide everything for people. And we must change. We must move on. We must, as leadership, at whatever level, challenge the people. And there is enough programs today. Inde komande ntchito zomwe kuchedwa munati mupanga create ntchito 1 million zitheka kukhulupirirani. 4 months of this administration as led by Dr. Chakwera, 2 months you can write off. July and August, COVID, almost zero activity. Activity has started now. We will be a bit patient and see and have a bit of faith that things will happen. Adoration, or the way we worship our leaders. Pachipanda ino kwezitiri ndani. But we all know that it is God who created us. We thank God we have a great president. That's what we should do. Yes, and thank the president when he has done good things. Thank your chief. Thank the ministers when they have done good things. Thank your party presidents and your other leaders when they do great things. Adoration is something different. We need to move away. I have said it. I am vice president today. I will leave. So there's no reason to adore or worship a mortal being like myself. Respect. Follow if we are not leading you astray. These are things that we do. We need to change. Glorification of thieves. We have said this one too many times. Because we don't know the source of the money. They give us money to pay school fees. They give us money to pay rent. They give us money to do whatever it is, maybe to buy a few drinks. And these are big men. Abigi Abuera. Big Mufikan Haizanj. Big man Wankul. And 3 years later, when the president says we have stolen 1.2 trillion kwacha from this country. Oh, no, that can't be true. Of course it is true. And how do they get to that level? It's because we clap hands for those people when they are stealing. Big indema kulajikale murujopu madu. Politics of stupidity. In this country, we embraced democracy, and since then, ascending to political leadership is a competitive process. Candidates and political parties campaign to get into power and lead. I emphasize lead. What is the politics that I'm referring to here? So I'll give an example. the obsession with the 2025 elections. As if you know, number one, that in 2025 you'll still be alive. Number two, as if you know that the people want you there. Number three, you assume that everybody that is there today wants to be in the contest in 2025. As a result, everything almost on a daily basis focuses on 2025. We shouldn't do that. We should move on from continuous campaigns. Save the people. Greed and corruption. As a matter of fact, we all agree, and we have said it, corruption is rampant. As a matter of fact, we commemorate, I think it's the 1st of December, if I'm not mistaken, the National Anti-Corruption Day. And there will be messages and functions to go there and talk about corruption and how we want to fight it. One will believe, you almost come out from there that, but no. Abuse of women and the youth. As a matter of fact, Excellency, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the cases of rape in this country, besides what I'm saying here, are on the rise. And that is also completely unacceptable. Women are suffering because of foolish men. The message to you people, especially the men who abuse women, whether it is gender-based violence or it is all these issues of rape, you're cowards. And we condemn it. Tamaye sani kumenya nandazi bambwanzanu. In this country, we say 52%, 56% are women. In this country, we say the biggest population is the youth. Are we doing the right things? Should the women, should the youth of this country be what we see today? Culture. There are some cultural practices that have also contributed to issues we're complaining about today. So gender-based violence, including on wedding days. And this is on wedding day. Sending your own child, and 2 years later when there are problems, there's gender-based violence, it is because we encouraged by saying, can we begin to sing better songs, perhaps? The entitlement disorder. If it is patience, faith. I deserve better than this one because it is me. The rules of origin. Oyo si watu sitingampa senchito hii. Oyo si wa watu. And these are things that we must deal with if we are really going to progress as a country. Our obsession with negativity says ingateke enada esera inumufuna mukalenga ndani. And getting to the end, the Stockholm Syndrome we suffer as a people. This is a condition which causes hostages to develop a psychological alliance with their captors. And kumakupanga no oppressing kumaombera so manja, so that they can oppress you with distinction. And I say it's something there, our obsession with lies. A very classic example. And I know it's sensitive, but that would be perhaps the best to use. You have somebody sick for many months, and we don't even care to visit them. The day they die, it is a political show. We are watu, we are watu. Ndeti mapita kuno ife. Oya Vice President Manosanga Lankure chifali ndi chisoni kwambiri, please. Are we sure? This person has been sick for many weeks, many months, many years. I didn't even care to go and see them. Sikula maliro nde oya ali ndi chisoni kwambiri akuti sangati ndikulankhula komwe. Are we sure? Abuse of resources, nothing new. Religion. Including the churches, we have seen them. Excellency, thank you. We should build. You should continue on that pursuit. Bring them back together. There's only one God. Could be God wa opposition, God wajibani yolamula. There is no such God in this world. Azibusa awandoka pempherera misonkhano ya opposition, awandoka pempherera mafunction ya aboma. We should move. White-collar jobs. And yes, there can be technical colleges and the other initiatives today, whether it is the NIF loans or others. We need to create small entrepreneurs as we go. The president said it the other day. We should stop the culture of thinking, let's create small entrepreneurs. That's the mindset. We shouldn't always want to be slaves to other people. Let's go and create empires for other people. And therefore, a few quotes to leave you with as I wind up. One nice one from Barack Obama. Change is brought about because ordinary people do extraordinary things. We are the ordinary people. We can do great things for this country. Nobody will fall from heaven to do it for us. We will do it ourselves. Second, Nelson Mandela, change will not come if we wait for some other person or if we wait for some other time. We are the ones we've been waiting for. We are the change that we seek. And you prayed and you fasted, and God has answered your prayer, and He gave you a president who answers to the name Dr. Lazarus Makathi Chakwera. He is the president you've been waiting for. And support the president. I said to somebody the other day, I'll digress a bit, but I think it's important to say, he is one president who manages 9 parties in one alliance, and then his own party, and then matters of the state. Search the continent of Africa and the world to find another who is in a similar situation. And even the alliance partners, I'm like, oh, vuta. Mwina osavuta ndinendeka basi. Inendeka kale ovuta iti. But the point is, sometimes we don't understand or realize that this is the moment we have been actually waiting for, and it passes by. Friends, countrymen, open your eyes. Serena Williams. There's no passion to be found in playing small, in settling for a life that is less than the one you are capable of living. And the smallness later we'll call upon, and in this paper we are saying, let's think big. Very big. And the people that we've been discussing with know this. And this is just for illustration purposes. No disrespect intended. The IMF will come here, they will do the assessment, and they will release $17 million, $20, $30 million. Lo and behold, it will be a celebration on MBC for a full week. Kuma IMF ndi atipa sangongole $30 million. Amene maonera mpira $30 million, can you even buy Cristiano Ronaldo with $30 million? We need to think big. So engage with the IMF, we need to discuss and borrow serious money. That when you take that money and you put into a project, you say, not $11 million is pocket change for people. I don't have it, others do. But we think very small and we get contented with very small things. We need to think real big. Big projects in billions of dollars. I say Zitega this time around. We will not solve problems with the same kind of thinking that we used when we created them. Try something new. Let's challenge the status quo. There will be no other group of Malawians that will come to run this country for us. They are here. You are here. The ones who are watching and listening, it's us. These are the Malawians who transform this country. There won't be another state. We are not in transit, by the way. This is our God-given land. We are not in transit. If anyone is in transit, goodbye. We'll see you, next time. But at least I am not. The president is not. We are here, we are home. The ministers are there, they are home. I see the honorable lady, the speaker, right honorable the speaker here. We are home. Justice Kamanga is here, we are home. I see the chiefs, Inkosema Kosimberwa, Inkosema Kosigoman, they're there. We are home. We are not in transit. It is us. Let's change how we think. Adam Smith, the real tragedy of the poor is the poverty of their aspirations. Thinking small. And there's nothing wrong with starting small and growing, yes. But a national development agenda must reflect our aspirations. That's why today I like it. Let honorable ministers, let PSs do what they're supposed to be doing. You really think, a president, 2 kilometers. Are we serious? 2 kilometers of a road. Then you have got, as a matter of fact, think about it. So you have the president, and I must be there, because if I don't go there, people will start asking questions. Then ministers must be there. Then you have got the Defense Force Commander, Inspector General of Police, the Head of National Intelligence, the Secretary of the President and Cabinet, probably half of the cabinet. If there was going to be an incident, who is going to tell the story? Stephen Covey, the key is not to prioritize what's on your schedule. Rather, schedule your priorities. Tibangaizi, tibangaizi, tibangaizi. So when we say, let's do these things, it's not because for want of fame, no. Maybe if we tried it, it could give us a different result. Wrapping up, how do we change simple things? Very simple. And this is an article I keep. It was written by Idris Ali Nasser back in the days when he was living the Daily Times. And that was the exit article. Nothing lasts forever. And if we come to terms with that fact, change will come. Because nothing indeed will last forever. We must change our politics. The glorification, the abuse. We must show people the way. Great leaders don't tell you what to do, they actually show you how to do it. Let the leaders give them an opportunity to show you something different. Osara vice president, a president, kumauna bo minister pandare ti matere, inde pandare po mu matero. But can we try something different? And maybe we'll get a different result. It is the human being. If we ask people in here, say, who wants to change? By show of hands, probably all of us will raise our hands. But the next question is different. Who wants to change? So, when I know it. But the change is us. There is a reason when God created us, He gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth. That we must listen twice as much as we speak. There are some people who behave as if they've got 2 mouths and 1 ear. God-fearing nation. But that's what God created, 2 ears and 1 mouth. Therefore, listen 2 times, speak once. Don't speak 2 times. And you listen once. As we go on this journey, we will have to collaborate. Put every single person. That's what the president said on his inauguration day. If it wasn't for this group of people, we wouldn't be here. If it wasn't for that group of people, we wouldn't be here. If it wasn't for that person, we wouldn't be here. What was the message? Collaboration. Everybody had a role to play. I invite you, as you go back, those of you that like to read, go and research on this Ignatian pedagogical paradigm. Further, to also go and read this book by Sheikh Muhammad Rashid bin Al Maktoum. That's the ruler of Dubai. Read and learn. And indeed, for those that profess Christianity, also go and look for that book, The Leadership Lessons of Jesus. In my life, I believe if there was one great politician, it was him. Akamfusa mamfuso, amaziwa kwa yanka kwa asaduki. Wrap it up. The first president of the Republic, His Excellency, the late Ngwazi Dr. Hastings Kamzubanda, may his soul rest in peace. He, you know, when he came up, or he conceptualized Kamuzu Academy, he took the British patriotic anthem and gave it to them to be singing as one way of developing future leaders. It is a vow, they sing it there as a vow to their own nation. Excellency, distinguished fellow countrymen, today, tonight, we need to make a vow. We need to make a vow to do things different. We need to make a vow to move this country forward, not by word of mouth, but by what we do. I have printed, I took the liberty to print, and like I say, on Founders Day, those of you that have been to Kamuzu Academy had the privilege to go there. On Founders Day, when you have got events, and they sing that song. It's called I Vow to Thee, My Country. I will play it here, not because I'm saying you should be British, but I'm saying listen to the words carefully, be inspired, and perhaps make a vow to say, going forward, I will do things different for the sake of my country, for the sake of the generations to come. If you're a parent, if you're a leader, if you're a child, if you're a teacher, if you're a pastor, if you're a chief, if you're a sheikh, today, listen and perhaps take that vow.
Our second hymn is a patriotic anthem sung to the music of Gustav Holst.
Your Excellency, and distinguished invited guests. We have an opportunity to change the fortunes of our country. Today, we start the debate, or we continue the debate. I want to say this. God gave us one country, and it is this country that we call Malawi. There shall never be another. Let's embrace the spirit of doing things different. Only then shall we have meaningful development in this country. I sincerely thank you all for your attention, Excellency, in a special way. Thank you for gracing this occasion. God bless.
Thank you very much for that moving public lecture. As I was sitting there, I couldn't help but think about this great philosopher. And this great philosopher is none other than Solomon. And Solomon says, as a man thinketh, so is he. As a woman thinketh, so is he. I would like to welcome you to this session where we are now free to ask questions but also to comment. And this is the essence of a public lecture. As I said before, this is how we are going to do it. You will raise your hand if you have a question or a comment. But make sure that you're very brief, but also it's focused to the agenda of tonight. You are free to ask in English or Chichewa. We'll also take some questions, as I said, randomly from social media platforms such as Zoom, Facebook, and Twitter. But when you are sending the questions, please tell us your name. Even those of us who are here tonight, please tell us your name and also raise the question. So the floor is open for questions and comments. Please feel very free, relax, think about your question, and raise your hand. Thank you very much. I recognize a hand on the second row.
My name is Sean Chilima, and I just want to say that was a very nice lecture. I've learned a lot. My question to you is, in your PowerPoint presentation, there were a lot of quotes from very famous people, and I believe that it's never too late for a person to change their mindset. So what advice would you give to someone in the younger generation, such as myself, to change their mindset?
Your Honor, before you respond, we will take 2 more questions, and then we'll give you a chance to respond. Yes, there's another hand on the second row as well, to my left. Over here.
Thank you, Your Honor, and thank you, Your Excellency. I'm Lester Chikoya. My question, allow me, Your Honor, to give a very small preamble. Malawi perpetually suffers from food shortage. The human body can survive without water for 3 days and without food for 21 days. Why is it that in Malawi we have a culture of preparing food at every funeral that we have? where most of the patrons will be there for less than 6 hours, and half of the sima prepared is hardly eaten. Can we not begin a change of our mindset whereby we will preserve the food that we produce using government subsidies, where half of the money goes only to the transporters? Your Honor, sir.
Thank you very much. We'll take the last question. Yes, I see a hand right there in the middle.
Thank you, your State Vice President. This is Yamika Nicholas Kachingwe of Current Affairs Online Newsletter. I have 3 questions. Firstly is to do with our education system. You have explained greatly on mindset change, but basically from our education system, starting from the primary to university, we are taught that we have to be educated so that in order for us to be employed or to get jobs. So currently we have more than thousands upon thousands of graduates roving around with the degrees, masters, PhDs, who are just seeking or wanting to be employed. So is it possible that we can also consider our education system so that people should be taught to be self-reliant and also to be taught, to be prepared that one day they should create jobs, they should also be entrepreneurs, create different businesses or companies, not necessarily waiting to be employed? That's the first question. The second question is about companies in Malawi. We have different companies, international companies, local companies, but specifically for the foreign companies or international companies, there is a culture that most Malawians are employed as gardeners, drivers, cleaners, etc. Most of the times, the CEOs, the deputies, they are expatriates. So is it possible also to look at this issue that if it's like deputy might be foreign or CEO local or vice versa, in order for us to groom leaders, because there's a shortage of leaders, be it politics, religious, name it. The last question is about national agenda. Malawi.
And that should be the last one, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Malawi, since the time of Matpati, we've had Vision 2020 with the former president, His Excellency Dr. Bakri Mluzi. Then we've had Millennium Goals, etc. by the late Ngwazi Dr. Bingwa Mtalika. Then we've had another one by the former president, High Excellency Dr. Joyce Banda. And now we have another one to do with 2063. But basically, we don't have a national agenda manifesto. This is to do basically with the country in terms of short and long terms. Of course, political party or ruling parties, they have their own manifesto. But once the elections are done, every party wants to implement its manifesto. The country is left behind because everyone abandons the previous regime's developments and they pick up theirs. So is it possible that in terms of mindset change, if we can have a full national agenda manifesto that to carry over by any government or by any ruling party to come? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for those questions. May I invite Your Honor to address those questions?
Right. Thank you very much for those questions, very difficult ones. What is the advice to the young generation? In the presentation here, I said people become what they surround themselves with. And therefore, for the younger generation, the best role models should, and underline should, be their parents. Because if they weren't, then we have a problem. And therefore, as we grow in life, role models help. And this applies to both management development programs and leadership development programs, that we must have role models, people that inspire us, people that we aspire to be like. So the point really is, to the younger generation, identify your role models. My advice is they must be your parents, because if they aren't, then we have a crisis. And this is why some of us, we encourage that. I mean, business people or businesses have carried on from one generation to the other because the children have learned entrepreneurship from their parents. They didn't go to school. They learned it from their own parents. They sit in the shops and they operate, cash machines and issue receipts, etc. And this is how they have become businesses from one generation to the next. In our case, we have problems with people passing on from one generation to the other. Chieftaincy or kingdoms will pass from one generation to the next. And perhaps we needed to follow a similar approach with the younger generation. Like I say, parents should be the ideal, but we could also pick on somebody different that we want. Food shortage. Perhaps what you're talking about is not quite the shortage, it is wastefulness. I don't have an immediate answer because it's a very emotive topic. If you didn't provide food in some of these places, you will probably have a crisis. So maybe we should continue engaging in as far as the funerals are concerned. I have my own views, but let me keep them to myself for now. The education system, look, I think we have talked about it, and so when I'm talking about, and I encourage folks here that when statements or speeches are delivered, we should pay attention to the detail in there. There's a very famous saying that the devil is in the detail. From the President's SONA to the Minister's budget statement to so many other speeches that have been given, including on the reform side, we are saying the curriculum must change so that we shouldn't be creating white-collar jobs, we should be creating entrepreneurs. So from a very tender age, including the anti-corruption drive, starting from primary school. Back in the days we had civics. Today it is called social studies. It is not the same. And these are discussions that are continuing. So the point is agreed. Likewise, the issue of the expatriates, it was in the SONA, it was in last week's presidential address when he opened the Golden Peacock Hotel in Blantyre. I think what we're saying is nobody says there must be no expatriates. We need them. But you can't have expatriates to be sweeping the streets. It must be for expertise that we lack in this country. So that point is settled. And I think going forward, this is going to be followed. I have heard it on more than 2 occasions. I am sure the responsible ministries are paying attention to that presidential statement. And last is the National Development Agenda. The genesis of the one now, the National Transformation 2063, is a recommendation that was made back in 2015. So let's give that process due support. The spirit is that we have a long-term development plan, and ideally all political party manifestos must speak to that national plan. The difference will be the strategy, how you want to execute, how fast you want to achieve what is committed to the people of this country. Now, the consultations have been done. I think they are doing the last wave of consultations. My recollection is that there's a proposal to launch the long-term development plan sometime in December. There will be in between discussions, the National Planning Commission with different stakeholder groups. Now, if people are not satisfied with what they have seen, please go back and make your point. It will be pointless to come out here, launch this beautiful plan for National Transformation 2063, or whatever other name we give it, Then 1 year down the line, we set it aside, and it becomes another Vision 2020. To have a beautiful document, you can't implement it for whatever reason. So the process is underway, final consultations are there, tentative launch dates, December 2020, and you are free where you are seated, sir, to engage the National Planning Commission, and indeed anybody else, because they have been going out there to consult with the people. So that's what I would say on the National Development Plan. It is in the offing. I think a month or so ago, it was right here when it was launched. This is now to launch the final document and adopt it as our Malawi blueprint for the next, whatever, 33 or 43 years to 2063. I'm ready to take the next set of questions.
Thank you very much. So we are taking another round of questions, and I would like to encourage both men and women to ask questions and also give comments. I see a... All right. Thank you very much. Let me recognize the woman in red. And then I also see a hand yes. In the middle? Yes, yes. And the one behind, the one in pink, I suppose. Yes, 3 questions at a time, yeah.
Yes, Your Honor. I've got one question. Malawi is a divided nation, and people, I believe, they have a lot of bitterness. I'll give an example for you to understand why I'm saying this. And if you have got this beautiful agenda mindset and you are luring people who have got harbor bitterness, you can not move along with them. I would like to know, maybe Tonse Government Alliance, what program is there to heal Malawi as a nation? Others, they are treated like maybe second-hand citizens in their own country. And yet we've got only one Malawi where everybody needs to be, to have that belonging. For you to understand, I'll give an example of Nkatabe people, Tonga. Every year we go there on 3rd March, they always talk about Mundati Pepese. You haven't, because of people who died 1959, they feel that bitterness is still with them. You talk of people of Mangochi, there's Moto village. They've got that bitterness. They say the whole village was wiped out. These are real issues when you go and find out there. And it will be very difficult to move with Malawi, which is so divided and has got a lot of bitterness. Maybe they don't feel like they belong to Malawi. What is there that you can hear these people? You heal the country, you heal the nation, that you have one agenda for all Malawians. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And maybe before we move to the middle lane, I have 2 questions here from social media and I would like to read them. There's one from Twitter. Mr. Banda says, following your presentation and to see the president here, one indeed feels that you two are in for mindset change and you're working together. How will you stand up to those who practice odd politics of dividing the president and his vice? There's another one from Zoom, Mr. Kosbe Nkwazi in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. He says, we have many people working in the government today, and they have grown and have influenced mindset. They have been influenced by past regimes, and they prioritize rewarding of loyalty. The fear of being labeled Suwatu leads these officials to lose their independence, and they fail to think creatively. They end up offering what the system wants to see and hear. They've grown with this mindset, and I'm sure they still practice it in the Tonse government. How are you going to change that? Maybe you can respond to these 3 questions before we move to the middle lane.
Right. Once again, thank you very much for those 3 questions. And very quickly, and this is exactly the point, to start with the first question. This is exactly the point we are making. When we say, how are you going to heal Malawi? And the question is asked either to me or to the president. You know, the impression created is as if one doesn't want to be part of that process. Now, leadership it's a collective. And all of us must then say, we have got this issue in Katabe. Here is the proposal we are making for us based on what we understand. We think this is how we are going to heal. Yes, there is the Ministry of Civic Education and National Unity. It is there, but even if it's one minister and a team. It's not just them. It is all of us. How do we heal? So, in finding the solution, don't ask the question, how are you going to do this? But how do we collectively resolve 1, 2, 3? Better yet is to say, for this problem, we have seen it for so many years. Here is what we think is a solution. We try it. If it doesn't work, we try something else. But we continue to try until we find the right solution. Yes, and these are not nice things to be saying, because when you go out there, these are very emotive issues. I have been in both places. They are very emotive issues, and we can't downplay them. But the point I'm making is there is commitment to resolve such issues, but better yet, those that think have got better solutions, not that we don't have, but those that want to be part of the process of healing, all of us. I mean, a patient, first of all, doctors will say, we care, God heals. A patient will heal, not just because the doctors and the nurses are taking care of them, but because their friends and family also go to cheer them up. And then I've not been abandoned, I've not been condemned in this hospital, and then they get encouraged and they heal. So as we go through that healing process, I want to encourage us not to be bystanders. We should be part of the process. Yes, 1 or 2 people may lead, but all of us must be moving towards the same direction. We mustn't dissociate ourselves or detach ourselves from the process of finding a solution. Number 2, let me start with the last. Professionalism in the civil service. I think this is what we say very well. Civil servants are professionals, they are supposed to be apolitical, etc. And the success of this rests with both the civil servants and the political leadership. I said in the presentation, sometimes we say the politicians mislead the civil servants. You'll be surprised that the civil servants make suggestions. I am saying the truth. So as we aim to resolve this, address the civil servants, address the political leadership. If you address to the one side, you will not find a solution. We need to put these things together. Hence, the mindset and all these reforms that we are driving. But otherwise, we pay lip service to this and say, we are going to fix this. It won't happen. You can't cure a patient. It doesn't work. You must take the drip and put it in the patient. So here, the civil servants and the political leadership speak to them together so that we find them. And we should, we should depart from the past and move on. Please, can we try something different? You really think we can want to mislead people? Let's try something. Try something and see. Try something and see. Let's move forward. That's why we have even changed the theme of the National Planning Commission, the Agenda 2063, to say it is about wealth creation, not about poverty reduction. That's not the point. We should be wealthy people. It's different, complete different mindset. And very lastly, in here, I gave an example when I was saying Tifanani. So the president is sitting over there, I'm standing over here. And yes, indeed, as they would write, there will be people that want there to be a crack. Sleepless nights. What joy will you get when the president and I stop speaking or stop talking to each other? Are you going to get richer? Are you going to be the next vice president? Are you going to be the next president? Are you going to be the next minister? That's the politics I was talking about, politics of nonsense. And we should not entertain that nonsense. We should condemn it, admonish that kind of behavior. Because it is very draining, it is very unhealthy for everybody. Meneta kalira mujoji sizukhala bwino. Ndeti agawe anthu awanda vice president, awanda president, ine ndi anthu. Anthu onse ndi amulungutu. Can we move on? We need to move as a country. It's not about me, it's not about the president. I mean, for goodness sake, for all I'm just one vote. Fine, but it's just one vote. I've got 2 votes. So this has got to stop. Demo people. I said it once, I'll continue. If I come across, I'll be saying, So, we will remain as we are and we'll continue working together because we're committed to save the people of this country. The high five talks about save and leadership. It doesn't talk about me. Leadership, guru. We can take the next set of questions.
Thank you very much for that. I thought you were going to start preaching now.
Not yet.
About unity. We are taking the last round of questions. We'll start with the middle lane and then the lane to my right.
There's a hand from the Inkosiyama Kosi here and the others at the back.
Thank you so much. Ndithokoze kwambiri a Vice President ndifacha presentation yabwino. Dzina langa ndi Joyce Chitsulo, Member of Parliament, Mwanza West Constituency. Ine yanga inali comment choyambirira a Vice President. Ndimaona ngati kuti ambiri amene timapangisa kuti kumalawi kuno zinthu zisapite pasogolo ndife yonso ma Members of Parliament. Chifukwa chokuti ikatha kampeni ngati chipani chathu sitinawine udani umene tili nawo cha that hurt timaisiyabe kwa masupporters athu kumudzi. Therefore ngati boma lawi nalo labweresa mfundo zabwino sitimazitsatira chifukwa chokuti ifeyo timafunabe kuti anzathu aja aoneke olephera. Ndimati ndipempha Vice President mokupemphani through a speaker amene ali momuno mukhalekonso ndi nthawi yokamba ndife ma Members of Parliament mutisinthe maganizidwe athu. That's why even if we are in Parliament pamatha kubwera mabiru ena abwinoti komatu izizi nzopindulira Malawi koma chifukwa choti tifuna kuti anzathu agwebe kuti ife toneke madolo timapeze kuti zinthu zizatukuzikana for the sake of it. Tikufunika ifeyo tisinthe. Tikasintha kumuzi kujanso anthu asintha chifukwa anthu akumudzi aja amatsatira ifeyo. Tifike pa situation yokuti zabwino tizipanga limodzi. Zimene tikuona kuti zinzolakwika titsutse chifukwa ntchito yotsutsa ndi imeneyo kumene for checks and balances. Koma zabwino tivomereze osati tizichita mantha kuti ifeyo ngati andale tikanena kuti apapo boma likuyenda bwino ndekuti atichosa chipani then ndekuti Malawi sapita pasogolo.
Thank you very much.
Pomalizira ndimati ndipemphe nawo a VP. Nkhani ya azibambo kumagwirira ati ana ndikuona ngati kuti imeneyonso a Vice President mutayipangaso kwambiri zitithandiza mamafumu athu komanso bwina ma traditional healers ndiye nawo otero chifukwa chakuti nchitidwe kupita pasogolo kwambiri kumalawi zimene zilizodandaulisa azimayi tikudera nkhawa. Azibambo mwauze kuti kulemera sikugona ndi mwana kuti kapena uchose matenda a HIV sikugona ndi mwana titawauza zonse zija mowatsimikizira nkapasa njira zabwino azibambo empowering them kuti nonso dzuwa likamalo adzibweretsa kandalama chifukwa mwina kupanga zoyipa kukumakhala kuti apezeka khobiri kosamala pa khomo ndikuona ngati titatero Malawi wathu akhoza kupita pasogolo zikoma kwambiri.
Thank you very much. We'll take one from that lane and we'll come to Inkosi Yamakosi. To my right, I've been seeing it. Yes.
My name is Dr. Diston Chiweza from College of Medicine of the University of Malawi, but I'm not a medical doctor. I'm an information specialist and I'm in knowledge management. Honorable VP, recently the Director of Knowledge Management Strategy at Microsoft said there's a connection between mindset change and the knowledge management strategy that an institution employs. And I got interested in that, and I couldn't but think about the public service in Malawi. And I see a public service, and I'm glad that I'm talking to you because you are responsible for reform of the public service. I see a public service that doesn't have a national knowledge management strategy. As a result, every time there's a new person coming on the scene, they start their own new thing. You know, creating new content of new bodies, new pieces of knowledge. And there are no libraries, no formal libraries. Go to any department, there's no library. If there are some libraries, they are disjointed and unprofessional. And yet here in Malawi, we've got Mzuzu University, which has got a whole department of library and information science, people in knowledge management. What plans in your public reform would you make to make sure that you accommodate knowledge managers and instill a career path for knowledge managers in the public service? And I know that you might mention about the access to information bill. Access to information law is about access to information. Who is organizing that information? Who is managing it? Where is it stored? I have deliberately raised these issues, I know, just to kickstart, the discussion with you, sir, but I would go further to say I am available if you need help. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I must say that's my husband. Fumbindiwe mwine. Let's move on to Inkosi. I'd like to recognize the Inkosi Yamakosi, who had a hand at some point.
Your Excellency, Your Honor, my name is Inkosi Yamakosi Mbero 5 from Zimba. First of all, mine is just a small comment. I should say that I'm quite happy that this topic is coming from the top leadership in this country. It has been there, down there, and it has always been lacking the support from the top. Now that it's coming from the top, and we see that this is a new government, we are hopeful that if you continue in this direction, people should really change their minds. Having said that, I have this in mind in regards to mindset change. Among many other problems that Malawi has, you find that water is one of them. Looking at the recent past budget, we are looking at the borehole funds. They have been increased. But when we're here where we are today, this is the 21st century, but we are still talking about boreholes. We have so many ways that we can provide water for our people in our localities, but up to today, tukamba benkania mjigo. With these renewable energies, technologies that are there, don't you think Malawi can do better? Kuti tipange mazo enerera tutazafika olo makomo. Everyone should be able to access water. Kumavuto wale kulu pa Malawi pa ndi mazi, but we are still stuck to boreholes. As you're championing mindset change, I would also want you to engage Ministry of Water, disinte maganizo antu alandire mazi zikomukombere.
Thank you very much. I know now it's getting more interesting, and I think maybe this is just the beginning, you know, of a road to further discussion about mindset change. May I give you a chance to respond, and after you have responded, could you sum it up and just emphasize on the take-home messages? Right. What is it that you want us to go home with?
Right.
After that, I will ask you to invite His Excellency, Dr. Makathe Chakwera, to give his closing remarks.
Thank you very much. And perhaps before I respond, to just echo what our convener has said. We can go on talking, but I think this is just the beginning. And thank you for crowning me the champion, but not yet. I think we have to yet identify somebody to champion this. Maybe I just thought I could steer the waters and see how we can move forward with this agenda. So sincere apologies that we may not be able to take more questions. It's getting late, and therefore we shall continue at another date. The first to speak, the honourable member there for Mwanza West, I think. I don't know whether I should be responding or I should just be saying amen to what you said. You said it so well, and if I add my voice to it, probably I would just be diluting. And this is something that we'll need. I mean, there is reforms that are happening in Parliament. We can take the discussion there. But like I say, this is a collective effort. We mustn't look at anyone to say, oh, mindset changes yambisa ndi awa. It's not like singing the national anthem. Everyone must sing. To sing that national anthem. But it's the conviction that we have in it that perhaps matters more. So thank you so much for those comments. The second, again, there is that offer for support. We acknowledge and sincerely thank you. We will take you on time when the moment comes. But just to say that as we go further to implement, you know, the School of Government, this is an institution that will help us with some of the issues that you have raised. Because with knowledge management, as you rightly submitted, is about the creation, sharing, storage, application as, you know, as a competitive advantage between one versus the other. So indeed, it is of extreme importance that we go in that direction and perhaps use knowledge much more, or information much more than we have used in the past. So we will surely take you on that, sir. And finally, Your Royal Highness, thank you for acknowledging the effort. Second, we will pass on the message. Indeed, we need to think different in the way we provide water, clean water to the communities. There is different schemes right now that are in the pipeline. I can speak for, I think the biggest one would be Central Region Water Board, because they are not quite connected to the main pipeline. They have got schemes in different places, and they run them, you know, using groundwater as the source. So as we go, while the ideal situation is to provide piped water like we do in the cities, we must bear in mind that we may have to call upon you know, people living in different communities to start paying for that service, so that it doesn't also become something that's subsidized. So the model will have to be discussed and you know, a position taken as we as we go forward. But the point is made and is very well noted. I sincerely thank you for that. Now, to close, before I invite His Excellency to come and address us tonight, it is just after 8 o'clock, and I think we need to be winding down. If I was going to say what are the key messages, number one, I think all of us have to get involved. It can't be a football game where there are players and then there are supporters. If there was a possibility, all of us must be on the football pitch to play, either to defend or to score, depending on the motive for that particular game. And therefore, they can't be bystanders. So first is I'm saying, let's all of us be involved. Second, let's think very big. Small $20 million, $30 million projects aside, we should be thinking $1 billion, $5 billion projects. Oh no, that can't work. It will work. Who will make it happen? We will make it happen. Third is, like I said, a famous quote which says, change happens by changing. We have to be involved in the process of change. And if you want a very simplistic example, is a weight loss program. When the doctor says, this is your diet, if you want to fit in a suit, this is your diet for the next 2-3 weeks. Now, for that weight loss to happen, you, the individual, must get involved. Otherwise, the suit will not get involved. The suit will remain the same. It is the individual that must change. So the point really is, if we are going to embrace this, it has to start with ourselves. And very, very finally, as the people of this country, as they said, whether it is patriotism, whether it is the loyalty that we preach, to be loyal to this country, we need to stop thinking the way we sing in church, very, very passionately. And yes, it's true. Yes. But we should also remember that God gave us this country. And this country alone. So we are not in transit. We are here. And if we want a better country than we have today, we will have to make it. So that is my parting shot for tonight. We wish you well. The discussion will continue. Like I said, we will make the paper available for people to critique it. We will need different ideas, but this discussion must not stop tonight. Perhaps this is the beginning. We should continue. We should continue with it to see a different country. With this said, therefore, and before I invite His Excellency, let me thank everyone that was involved. First of all, a big round of applause to our convener, Dr. Chiweza from the University of Malawi, or Chancellor College. To the technical team that made all this happen, we sincerely thank you. All the protocol people, security, the people that are involved in the decoration, all the support staff from BICC, and everybody that put their hand to make this event great. Most important, and saving the best for last, we thank you, Your Excellency, for sparing your time to be with us tonight. And therefore, it is my singular honor to invite Your Excellency to come and address those of us that are present here tonight, and also those that are listening to us via different platforms. Distinguished fellow countrymen, ladies and gentlemen, in a moment, the President of the Republic of Malawi, Dr. Lazarus Makathi Chakwera. Excellency, sir.
Please be seated. Wow. Your Honor, Dr. Saulos Klaus Chilima, Vice President of the Republic of Malawi, and Madam Mary Chilima, Right Honorable Catherine Kotan-Hara, MP, Speaker of the Malawi Parliament here present, Your Ladyship Justice Ivy Chatakamanga, Justice of Appeal, all Cabinet and Deputy Ministers here present, political leaders in the Tonsi Alliance and all members of the Alliance here present, Your Excellencies, heads of mission, and all the members of the Diplomatic Corps here present, Mr. Zangazanga Jikosi, Secretary of the President and Cabinet, and all senior government officials here present, Your Worship, Juliana Kaduya, Mayor of the City of Lilongwe, and all councillors here present, paramount chiefs, and all traditional leaders here present, all the religious leaders here present, captains of industry, distinguished invited guests, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen, let me just begin by congratulating the Vice President for this fascinating lecture on the mindset change that needs to happen in this country. The message delivered is timely, but also desperately needed. I am therefore not only happy to be here at your invitation, Mr. Vice President, but fully supportive of this initiative as one way of conscientizing this nation about a new way of thinking without which the task of building a new Malawi cannot be done. Some people may not want to exercise their minds, but years ago, I learned from a professor that I sat under, speaking after the manner of Jesus. Gordon Hunting said, "Blessed are the blank in mind, for theirs is the kingdom of fundamentalism." Because too many times we are blank in mind and then we just hold on to something and we can't even explain it. But we say that's what we are and we need to change. For this reason, in the Tonsi spirit of shared responsibility, I wish to make an observation of my own related to that subject. There are some among us who wrongly think it is only politicians like myself or the Vice President and cabinet members who need a mindset change, while they themselves are citizens or development partners or business persons do not. Nothing could be further from the truth. Like you have said, we all need to change our minds. And admittedly, to anyone who has read the daily papers over the past 20 years, it is plain to see that the approach to governing used by public servants is broken and demands a radical mindset change. However, mindset change is those who govern will never be enough. It must be accompanied by a radical mindset change in the citizenry. If you scan the social media chatter of the past 20 days, you will see that our priorities as citizens are also broken. When we still have young men in our universities gang raping female students, or a suspicious 10 billion kwacha contract and one parastatal company to investigate, or a railway project to move goods to and from the sea, and we cannot afford to waste our time on social media gossip, because we just have to understand there are more important issues than gossiping about cocktails at state houses and wanting to make sure the vice president and the president are fighting or doing something different. That's not what this country is about. We need to do something more. Let's not manufacture storms in a teacup for the amusement of idle and gullible minds. This is a country with serious problems that need serious people. This is a country in serious debt, with 15 million people wallowing in serious poverty, a 25-year history of serious corruption, a 100-year history of serious gender inequality, and in the midst of a 6-month battle against a serious economic crippling pandemic. What Malawi needs are serious minds who are eager to use their resources and talent to solve the serious problems of our time. And our obsession with measuring on minors is proof positive that the Vice President is right to call on all citizens to do some soul searching and ask, quote, what is it about my mindset that needs to change in order to make Malawi better? End of quote. In the same vein, we need to not be afraid to challenge each other to change our perspective on any issue that affects all of us. So national conversations must happen everywhere, anywhere, anytime, and all the time, so that in the new Malawi, no one must be left thinking that they are exempt from scrutiny. If you criticize me or the Vice President, we will listen and put our perspective to good use. But if we criticize you and don't suddenly behave like a toddler and throw tantrums because you think we owe you and your high horse special homage, let everybody think. Sometimes when I would teach and preach and lecture, I would say, sometimes even the church has gone astray, because once you think you're born again, then your brain is assassinated. Think over some issues. There's too much herd mentality. One jumps, everybody jumps. Think, why do you want to do that? We have a country to develop. And Malawi is a free country, and we must each be free to challenge everyone to a mindset change for the common good. We all need to challenge each other when necessary and cherish each other when appropriate, for that is the only way for us to move forward together without leaving anyone behind. So, Mr. Vice President, thank you for challenging us tonight. What a blessed nation we have, and we will be if we apply these things in our own lives, in our own homes, and our own profession. God bless you so much. I wish you well. And God bless everyone, and God bless Malawi. Thank you.
I would like us together to sing our national anthem, and we're going to sing the one stanza only. Oh, God bless our land of Malawi. Keep it a land of peace. Put down each and every enemy. Hang out his This marks the end of the public lecture tonight. I would like to thank you very much for coming and for your participation. And so I would like to ask that His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Malawi, is the one who goes out first together with the Vice President and all the dignitaries, and then we will follow later. Thank you very much. God bless you. God bless Malawi.
Of a public lecture that was being delivered here at the BICC by Dr. Saulos, Klaus, Chilima, and the public lecture took about 2 hours, including a set of questions that were asked, and we had the program start with an opening prayer by Dr. Henry Chingaipe and a poem by Q Malewezi, and then the lecture itself by Dr. Saulos, Klaus, Chilima, and after that there were questions which were collected from the live audience that attended the public lecture, as well as some people who were following the discussion online. Linda, any take-home messages from the public lecture?
Yes, we need to work together, collaborate, and make sure that the mindset is really changed. And one thing he said when he was answering one of the questions from the audience was that we should move away from how do you work this, how do you respond to this, how do you change this, but we should get to a point where we are like, how do we? So we are replacing how do you with how do we. That is one step that we're supposed to take, at least to make sure that, yes, mindset changed, things are moving. We are not putting pressure on anyone. We're not holding anyone responsible for the change itself.
Thank you very much indeed. Linda Tembo, my co-host here at this public lecture. We were also with Mr. Wonderful Nkuche, who is a social commentator. First, your reaction, how was the public lecture?
It was a good public lecture. Looking at the topic, it was about mindset change. Trying to set the tone for this government and for everyone in this country. So the thing was about enlightening us that we have some beliefs, some practices or some attitudes that we used to have, but now we have to leave that behind and then focus on new opportunities as we go forward.
Did it live to your expectations?
Oh yes. We're not talking about mindset change, it's simply transforming ourselves. So that was the main message in that public lecture. Like the Vice President was trying to tell us that we should not look at ourselves as failures. As a country, we are not meant to be poor forever. We can do things, we can embrace new practices that are going to take us somewhere. So whatever was said in the public lecture was indeed around mindset change, and that is what was being expected.
Would you say there's anything new that you got from it? Because I was following some of the comments on social media and things like that, and some people felt that, well, we have always known what the Vice President was saying. There isn't anything new. Would you say there's anything new that you got from the public lecture?
Yes, of course. There is something new, especially in the passion and also in the determination the Vice President had. And then after him, we also saw the President making comments on the public lecture. So the message may not be new to most people, But then the presentation and the belief that the Vice President had, and also the President after that presentation, that is something new that we are taking from the public lecture.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mkuche.
Thank you.
Amene ndi wonderful Mkuche, mmodzi mwa anthu amene anali konkuno ndeti wononso kuti apa pali mmodzi mwa anthu amene anabwera nawo kudzaonerera zimene amayankhula mtsogoleri wachiwiri kwa mtsogoleri wa dziko lino Dr. Lazarus Chakwera. Anuza ndi dzina anulicha?
Inetu ndi Joseph Peshi.
Kuti mubwere kuno?
Kuti ndibwere kuno naona pa social media kuti it's a public lecture yokuzana ndi mindset change. Kweni izokuzana ndi kusintha kaganizidwe.
Mmene wachitikira zachitika zokambirana zimenezi inu ndinokhutira kuti ndabwera kuno ndipo nthawi yanga ndayigwiritsa ntchito mwaphindu ndipo ndapindula nazo.
Ndipo izizi ndizo zofunika kwambiri mowangati dziko kuti lipite patsogolo. Ndipo ndipempho langa kuti zinthu ngati izizi zizichitika pafupi. Ndimayimika mkono ndimafuna nanenso nditafusafuso komanso nditapanga contribute towards zimene amayankhula a Vice President. Fa mindset change kweni ndiyokuzana kuti tipite patsogolo ngati dziko. Nde ineyo mwina I will use this opportunity kuti mwina funso langa likamveke lonena kuti amene akutsogolera nkhani ngati za mindset change kuti zikafike kumudzi ngati ine ndachochokera komwe kwayepa kwa chitukula. Ndizonena kuti Malawi muno timapanga zinthu zambirimbiri mwachitsanzo mmene mukundioneramo ndinoshepere timalima zinthu ngati mwina ntedza kupeza kuti tauzidwa kuti tikuyenera kusintha kaganizidwe tisamangodalira ntchito yokhayokha koma tizipanga zinthu monga tizipanga mapinati butter kupanga majamu koma zimapezeka kuti tikapanga zinthu zathu zija kukazika pansika sitikugulidwa chifukwa pansika m'mashelf mwadzaza zinthu zochokera maiko akunja ndi anthu tilakakhala ndi mentality kuti ku Malawi kuno sitingapange chinthu chachani chinthu chabwino. Taphunzira tailoring, look at the shirt men ndavala yosokedwa m'Malawi muno koma pano panthu abowoka kumangoyitanisa china chilichonse kunja tikupangisa kuti maiko anzathu azipita patsogolo chifukwa ifenso sitifuna kusintha kachani kaganizidwe kathu. Then ndipempho langa kuti zinthu ngati zizi zichitika pafupi komanso boma litithandize kunena kuti akhazikitse ma restrictions kandi kukweza misonkho kwa zinthu zobwera zija zimene tikupanga m'Malawi muno zizitha kugudwa kuti ife tikasintha kaganizidwe. Munthu wakumuzi ngati ine mukandiuza kuti ndisinthe kaganizidwe ndizilima tomato ndipange jamu anga uja akagulidwa ndipita patsogolo. I think the mindset change itithandiza, otherwise ingokhala ngati nyimbo imene tizimba mindset change kusintha kaganizidwe. Ambiri munali ma professor omumu timawerenga ma social media mabuku zokuzana ndi mindset change koma kwathu kuno tikulephera kuzipanga apply kuti dziko lathu lipite patsogolo. Mindset change lizamkamba mpaka nakale kale koma zinthu sizatani sizasintha. Ndene ningofuna ndipemphe boma ilili la Lazarus Chakwera komanso awawa tikupanga lebo ngati a champion ngakhale akanawo mumu koma tikupanga lebo kuti ndi champion wa mindset change pakufunika kuti atithandize mipando imene yoti kumalawi kuna anthu akupanga mipando yokongola koma aliyense akugula zinthu pa online kuchokera ku China. Ndipo ku China ko wina aliyense anthu osaphunzira anthu ophunzira akangopanga kachinthu ife tikathamangira kachinthu kachokatani kukagula. Bwanji this is my suggestion now kuli bwanji zinthu zimene zikuoneka kuti kwathu kunoko ku Malawi tikonza kuzipanga zimene zonse amabwere kunoko koma zimene ifeyo sitingathe kuzipanga ku Malawi kuno tiziziyitanitsa. Napitapo ku South Africa kuti niwe mukapeze zinthu zimene zimapezeka ku Malawi kuno is rare simungazipeze zachisawa koma kunoko kupita m'mashopu chilichonse chichokera ku South Africa. Zikomo kwambiri Mr. Joab ine ndasangana kala kantayankhula nawo timangokuona mumapanga ma interview Mr. Joab but today is my opportunity to encounter with you face to face.
Nathokoza kwambiri.
Thank you.
Nkhani ndi imeneyo akuti mindset change nkhani imene ndikupeza kuti akuonjezera pamene tinalekezerapo yamba paja kuti kodi mindset change ndi zoti anthu azingolankhula kapena zikuyenera kuti zipangidwe support ndi ma action. Nzanga Linda Tembo ndikumuona kuti wabweranso ndi mlendo wina amene akufuna kucheza naye apa. Linda.
So kwambiri Job ndithu ndi babati ndi Dr. Dickson Chiweza na kambapo ndithu kupereka ndemanga mkati muja kupereka funso lomveka bwino ndithu kwa Vice President atamaliza kuyankhula kwawo public lecture imeneyi ndikulandireni.
Zikomo kwambiri.
Public lecture yachitika zinthu zapita a Vice President ayankhula mwatolapo chani chimene mutuluke nacho ndikauza anthu kunja kuti mwatengapo tsiku lero.
monga mene munaona mene ndinafunsira funso mutha kuona kuti ndinalunjika kwambiri kukufunika kochita connect knowledge management strategy ya dziko ndi mindset change ya anthu. Actually ku knowledge management theory amanena kuti chimene anthu ali chimagwirizana ndi knowledge management strategy imene dziko lakhazikitsa. Even if mutakhala pa kampani ngati Zodiac pamene pajapo mindset ya anthu pa Zodiac paja igwirizana ndi knowledge management strategy imene pa Zodiac mwakhazikitsa. Ndekwa ineyo ndimayang'ana kwambiri the connection, the interface between knowledge management and mindset change, because in the field yanga imeneyo then mafotokoza mmene muja kunena kuti mu public service mutati muyang'ane mulibe kwenikweni knowledge management strategy. Then manena kuti koma kumalawi kunoko tili ndi mwayi tili ndi school ya library and information science imene mapanga produce ma knowledge managers, ma librarians. And panopo tukamba za access to information. Pamene tukamba za access to information, access ndiye kuti information ichomkuitenga pena pake. Ndefunso tikunena kuti wapanga organize ndani, akuyang'anira ndani, luso lake ndilotani. Ndekwa ifeyo mu field yathu timanena kuti pamene paja pakufunika knowledge managers mene azikasunga information ija to complement, because many of the players are end users, not the content creators, the catalogers, the organizers of the knowledge, and so on and so forth. So many public lecture inali very exciting to me, and ndasangala kwambiri, and ndasangala so for amapanga convenient mkazi wake.
Tabu woman power pamene bobo mukanakonda kuti zikanakhala motani mwakamba ndithu mfundo yabwino kuti knowledge management ndi mindset change mukuzilumikiza tikulephera pati kwenikweni fo ngati ma librarian aliko information ikupezeka ilipo anthu akupanga gather koma zimsizi kubwera to the end user pamene popo tikulakwa pati ndipo tikonzepa ndipo pamene pakulakwika mu dziko lino la Malawi ndipo ndifotokoza mosapyatira yayi pakulakwika ndiponena kuti public service yathu mulibe career path ya ma librarians ndi pamene pali vuto lalikulu. So that iniyo mutakhala kuti muli ndi bachelors of library and information science mwajoina ministry na yake mungokhala kanthawi pang'ono akupangani promote akakuponyani kwina kwake ntchito yoti ili non related to knowledge management ichi. Nde ifeyo kuyambira ma 90s ma early 2000s takhala tikunena kuti mudziko munomo mukufunika kuti public service ikhale ndi career path ya ma librarians because they are the knowledge managers. And kuonjeza pamene popo ndingopasa chitsanzo chimene chimakhalapo chifukwa chakusowa zimene zokhoza kuona kuti tingoyerekeza wasankhidwa minister watsopano. Minister chimene amaziwa iye ndikunena kuti ndipite familiarization tour. Familiarization tour chakuti akaphunzire ukanakhala kuti knowledge is organized. Minister yosana akafunika apite ku familiarization tour akanangolowa mu library ndikumawerenga ma policy papers, ma strategic plans, komanso ngakhale zinthu zimene zoti zikusonyeza kuti magozi awo ndi chani mwapezesa pamenepo. Amene Dr. Chiweza kuti unikira ndithu ziwiri zitatu chimozi zinayi kuti timvese bwinobwino kuti uthenga komanso mindset change tikusumikiza motani. Ndathokoza kwambiri khani ndi madzulo abwino zikomo. Eyero nzanga Joab ndimene zinthu zakhalira apa Dr. Chiweza amaunikirapo kuti knowledge management muno Malawi ndi connecting knowledge management kubwera ku mindset change khanga dipena pake zinthu sizikuyenda kwenikweni.
Zoona kuti public lecture mene yapereka mwayi kwa anthu kuti apereke maganizo awo pa zinthu zina zimene mwina Amalawi ena samatha kuziganizira. Timanena tisanayambe paja kuti mwina nthawi zambiri zinthu zimene zimatha kumveka mwansanga ndi zinthu zoti zili tangible zikhoza kugwirika. Koma naona kuti nkhani imene amanena Dr. Chiweza nkhani yoti anthu ena mwina akhoza kuvuta kuti ayipetse kuti akukamba kuti chani. Koma iwo akunena kuti tikunena kuti Amalawi akhale ndi mwayi omapeza uthenga ofunikira kandi kunduna kandi kuti. Koma nkhani ndi yakuti kodi uthengawo tikuusunga bwanji, kodi anthu akamakati akapeza uthenga wochokera kuti. So I think nkhani yoti pena pake ifora anthu ambiri timatanganidwa ndi zinthu zina zokhudza ndi moyo wathu, ayi ndilime ndipeze nyumba ndilani sitiganizira pa level imene amaganizira iwo. Ndeti ndi mwayi kuti mdziko muno tili ndi anthu amene akhoza matiganizirirako madera amene ife mwina sitingafikeko.
Ndikutiunikira zomwe tingachite.
Zoona zake ndi zimenezo. Tikaterenso ndio tafika pa mapeto pa zimene zimachitika kuno ku Bingu International Convention Center, kumene kunali wachiwiri kwa mtsogoleri wa dziko lino Dr. Saulos Klaus Chilima kuyankhula pa nkhani ya kufunika kosintha maganizidwe komanso kupitirira pamenepo kufunika kosintha kachitidwe ka zinthu. Tinaonanso mtsogoleri wa dziko lino anabwera konkuno ndipo anapezaponso mwayi wolankhula kuwathokoza vice president pa kukonza mwambo umenewu komanso kugwirizana nawo kuvomerezana ndi zimene vice president amanena. Ndiyetu kumalizira kuja naona anayika nyimbo yakuti I vow to thee my country.
Kwambiri sikuti Malawi musanduke Britain kapena musanduke British, bota nakuti mindset change kenako I vow to thee my country.
Ndi nyimbo imene anzathu ku United Kingdom amayimba kulonjeza kuti ine ndikulumbirira pa dziko langa, kusenza kuti ndidzachita china chilichonse chopititsa patsogolo dziko langa, chotukula dziko langa, choteteza dziko langa. I vow to thee my country. Nyimbo imene anthu ambiri anaona kuti anachita nayo chidwi kwambiri.
Inenso inandipatsa chidwi kwambiri, ndimayilumikizanso kwambiri ndi mutu wa public lecture wa lero. Mindset change suda mangokamba mindset change uthera pompo, komano mindset change kumulumikiza ndithu ndi chitukuko cha dziko lino. Ndi nyimbo ija I vow to thee my country, ngati kuti mindset change iyo ndikafikapo ndikulonjeza kwa iwe dziko langa kuti ndisintha kaonedwe ka zinthu, ndisintha kaganizidwe ka zinthu, zitithandize kwambiri kubweretsa chitukuko muno Malawi.
Ife titsazikepo apa. Ine ndi Job Frank Chakaza komanso nali ndi mzangayo
Linda Masinga. Job manditchula kuti Linda Tembo mose wayambira.
Linda Tembo Masinga. Titokoze kwambiri Asma Life Insurance komanso asatemwa ati amene anapangisa kuti chikhale chotheka kuti tikupatsireni zonsezi kuchokera kuno ku BICC. Tionera uthenga kuchokera kwa iwowa kenako kwinako ndekuti tikatero tatsazikana. Tsalani bwino.
Wachikondi wathu pamene watisiya timaonetsetsa kuti kulemekezeka, koma tumaliro amafuna zambiri, tsoka ilo sakunzekereka. Pamenepa ndi pamene umafuna kugwira mkono. A Smile Life Insurance amamvetsetsa kuti pazovuta chonchi umatha kugwira njakata. Ichi nchifukwa chake mogwirizana ndi Ataprama Funeral Services amabweretsa zofunikira pamaliro za mtengo oyambira 300,000 kwacha mpaka 2.5 million kwacha, monga galimoto yonyamula thupi yapamwamba, transport ya anamalira, matent, mipando, zakudya zapamaliro, okumba manda, komanso onyamula zovuta ngakhale chimkuza mawu. Ndipo zonsezi zimatengera polisi yomwe munasankha. Tafunsani zambiri ku Smile Life lero poimba ku 0995 915 261 ndipo ndikutsimikizirani kuti tsiku likadzafika chisoni chanu chidzakulirika ndi chimwemwe kuchokera ku Smile Life.
Mwana wanga, what tea is this?
Agogo. This delicious flavor is Satemwa Export Green Tea. Satemwa Green Tea is not just tasty, but it's healthy too, as it's full of powerful antioxidants. This green tea is grown on the beautiful slopes of Cholo Mountain and is sold nationwide.